Next up, let's talk about the drum sequencer. In order to do this, let's add a new track with a new drum rack. It's very simple. Let's hit Add Track. The browser immediately pops up. I'm going to browse for a drum rack that has a 707 drum machine on it. So that's pretty cumbersome. Let's use the arrows. Looking for kit core, just so some of you guys without Suite can follow along. Kit core 707. With preview on, we can hear what it's going to sound like. Let's do 707, hit load. And now we have a new MIDI track with a new color and our new drum rack on it. Oh, I pushed a button which started our step sequencer. Let's hit undo and get rid of that note. So as you saw, all it takes is punching in some notes in our step sequencer to get a clip created and get that transport started. But before we do that, let's talk about the step sequencer. On the right here, that grid button determines what each of these pads represents. So currently, each pad represents a 16th note. So we have half a bar, the full bar, our second bar, and then the rest of that second bar. So 2 full bars up here. So if I want to, I can create a backbeat. Click on snare, give 2 and 4. Okay, just that simple. If I want to remove or delete some of those notes, I just touch them again, and they're gone. If I want to make this longer or shorter, I can use the loop length pads over here on the right. So 2 pads means it's 2 bars long. If I wanted to make it 4 bars, hold the first pad and select the 4th pad. Now when I hit play, I'm going to follow playback or follow the playhead. So here's bar 1, there's bar 2. Next we'll flip over to bar 3 with nothing on it, and bar 4 with nothing on it. We'll go back to bar 1 and follow along that playhead. Let's say I want to focus on bar 3 and 4 only. I don't want to have to catch it when the playhead moves to bar 3 and 4. All I have to do is select bar 3 and 4, and now I'm focused on that page. Add my snares in. Go back to 1 and 2, add my snares in. Now I have a 4-bar beat. If I want it to follow or scroll with the pages again, I select the first pad, select the last pad, and now we're scrolling. If I wanted to change the subdivision of this grid, I just click a button on the right. So now we're looking at 1/8 notes. The resolution isn't high enough now to give us an accurate picture of what's going on, but it's going to tell you that something's there, something's happening. You can also go up to 30-second notes. So each page is a full measure now. And I can also go to triplets. So here are 1/8 note triplets. And you'll notice that the last 2 pads are kind of grayed out because we're at triplets. Now these pads over here, these loop length pads, are really, really useful. Let me explain why. If I'm performing on stage, I can create a 2-bar loop here and a completely different 2-bar loop here. Let's do that now. Go back to bar 3 and 4. Let's do maybe a double time type of thing, something like that. So if I'm performing, I can have a single clip loaded, and I can go back and forth between these 2 ideas. Select the first bar, the second bar, and now I'm looping just those 2 measures. Okay, that's my first pattern. It's going to loop. And if I want to seamlessly switch to my second idea, I just do the same thing on pad 3 and 4. Seamless. Or I can go back to all 4 bars. Now I also have the option of doubling the length of this clip. There's a double loop button here. If I tap it, this clip or this loop length has now doubled from 4 bars to 2 bars. I'm sorry, from 4 bars to 8 bars. And the pattern or the MIDI notes that were previously on bars 1 through 4 have been copied down to 5 through 8. So I can do some further editing. Maybe do something like, let's do something like this. And on bars 7 and 8, I could do something like this. Bar 5 and 6, 1 and 2. So I immediately have some really different ideas all in the same clip. I'm switching seamlessly between them all. All right, so I can also mute and solo these pads in the drum rack just like I can in the software. If I want to solo my kick, I hold solo, hit that pad. Now it's all I'm hearing in this track. Or if I just want to hear my snare, I can do that too. If I want to mute something, hold mute, tap the pad. Now I'm just hearing the snare on that track. If I want to solo a track itself, I can do the same thing. Solo, click the lower display button. Now all I'm hearing is the snare on that track. Now you saw that I was programming in steps or notes, and I also can touch them again to make them go away. What if I just want to mute a note and not actually get rid of it? I can do that too. Hold mute. I can mute a note. It's still there, but I can't hear it. I can also delete all the notes for a single pad. So this is my kick drum. If I don't like what I did for the kick, I can hold delete, tap that pad, and all those notes are gone. Now I can also modify these notes in my sequence. Let's say I want this note to be longer, or I want the velocity to be different. What I can do is hold a pad, and I can nudge it in time, change its length. I can also change the velocity. So now that note is a little bit brighter because the velocity is higher. If I turn down the velocity, it's a little bit dimmer. I can also do this for multiple notes at the same time. So if I want to select all of these kicks and change them, I can. I can make them 2 steps long and at full velocity. Hit undo, and I'll show you a really nice trick for making these notes at full velocity with Step Sequencer as well. What I can do is hit accent, and now any note that I tap will become full velocity. Tap it again, it's gone. Tap it, and it's at full velocity. Now, one step further, I can select all the notes for a single pad. So maybe I want to change the velocity for these 4 and these 4. And I really, that'd be a crazy way to do it, be something like that. There's an easier way. Hold select, hold that pad, and now I can adjust all of those notes for that single pad at the same time. All right, so that is step sequencing drums. Pretty simple now, huh? Next up, let's play melody with push. I'll see you then.